Okay, y'all, so we're going to be ranking the new Christmas Mika on the overall community tier list. So yes, if you are new, since we have been growing on the channel, if you are new to the channel, this is your first time seeing one of these videos. Essentially, this tier list is decided by not tens of thousands, but maybe around 10,000 people, right? I always do a community post on my YouTube channel where, you know, I let the community decide where the new character goes in tiering, or on the tiers. They usually get like around 10 or 11,000 votes, so there's thousands of votes here, right? Obviously not everybody like wants a character to be in said tier, but whatever wins, like majority vote, is where the character goes, right? Realistically. So yeah, as you guys see here, Mika is actually a most people have voted. There's 3.2 thousand votes already in 4 hours. A to B tier, and in the comments I've already read some of them. Most of them are saying A tier. I'm gonna give my opinion on where I think she can go, but let me talk about her first, right? So in SS they have 10%, surprisingly. In F they have 21%, understandable. 6% in C and D. It's also like not really understandable, honestly. Just I would say she's around this tier, right? From B to S or S to B. I would say she's one of those tier, but probably A for me personally. And the reason why I say that is because she has her use, but there's a problem with her as a unit by herself, and it's the simple fact that she kind of takes long to you know, fully stack up on her 10 stack count for her tidying up buff, right? Because when you have tidying up fully stacked, then all allies get the max ammo capacity permanently, and that's what you want to give her. Not only that, she needs to be fully invested essentially for her to like really be efficient, and that's to take it from a minute worth of like waiting for the full stacks to like 40 seconds of waiting for the full stacks. So she's a character who's really going to be beneficial in longer fights, not necessarily going to be good in like shorter fights. I will say her burst gauge filling speed is amazing. It's amazing because she's an SMG character, but with that burst gauge filling speed, it's amazing. It's really, really good, right? The stack is also really good, right? Every time she lands 150 normal attacks, all allies increase their stack count. Is really good. She's a really good character in terms of what she's doing. The biggest problem with her is that she takes long to get everything going for herself, unfortunately. But overall, she's a really good character in my opinion. So I think I am going to give her the high A tier. Probably I could give her low S, but I don't think she's there. I think she's high A tier. And the reason why I say that is because there's a lot of like pros that I think people keep looking past, right? When it comes out, when support characters come out, you gotta not really look at what the character is doing for themselves, but what they're doing for the entire team as a support, right? So I think a lot of people, it went over a lot of people's head that when she increases stack count of one by like of a stackable buff by 1 to all allies, any character in the game who has a stackable buff gets affected by that. So that's gonna be good for a character like Modernia with her crit damage buff. Scarlet with her attack buff. That's going to be better for a lot of these characters who have these stackable buffs, and it takes them a minute to get it, or not even that takes them a minute, but like, you know, they just have a stackable buff. This character can make them be fully stacked faster. That's her whole thing, right? I feel like her attack buff is quite trash, right? Since it's based off her attack and it's only for 5 seconds. I hate when they do this. They give an attack buff off of a supporter's attack and they make it for such a less time, right? They make it for 5 seconds, right? Litters is understandable because it's just flat attack no matter what. But when it's based on a supporter's attack, and there's no way in hell it should be 5 seconds, in my opinion, right? The Dispel 1 debuff, not that it's not useful, it's just not going to be used as much, realistically. Right, you're not like getting debuffed every game. You're not really getting debuffed like that, honestly. At least not like a major debuff where it's like, oh, you need to dispel the debuff or anything like that. Usually when they have like a debuff, it would probably be like lower defense, right? And then the enemies don't even attack you unless you like, what's it called? Because they're gonna be dead realistically, or unless like you don't meet the requirements of what you have to do before they attack. So for example, Gravedigger, right? Gravedigger will only attack you if you don't break the interception parts, right? That's like what I mean essentially. So the remove 1 debuff is cool, but it's not like noticeable, right? But the biggest feat for this character, I would say, is definitely that increased stackable like buff count for all allies. Her burst gauge is amazing, and then also the damage reduction and stuff like that. Now, honestly, I don't think it's worth it to upgrade this character like that because the 20% damage reduction isn't as good as I thought it was going to be, right? It's still there, right? It's still damage reduction and it's still good, don't get me wrong, but 20% clearly in like nowadays content is not enough for like 20% damage reduction, even if it is going to all allies, is not enough to like protect you from anything realistically, right? Like you're still gonna get hit by big blows, right? When I see damage reduction, I want it to be like Ludmilla's damage reduction or Sakura's damage reduction. Those are characters that give damage reduction to your team where it makes it that they literally, like, you see a big difference from if you weren't to have damage reduction compared to if you were to have damage reduction on like the big massive blow hits that you actually do take, right? Ammo capacity increase is very nice, but again, because you need the tidying up buff to be fully stacked, it's gonna take you like a minute or so, like 40 seconds to a minute to get this going, depending on your build and depending on who you have on the team, right? I noticed that if you have Rupee on the team, then and only then you will get that like you will get this in 40 seconds. But no matter what the situation is, if she's by herself, somehow she gets a minute in, whether she's 10-10-10 or 5-5-5. I don't even know how that works, but that's what it seems to be the case from like everybody's testing. So I'm not necessarily sure what's going on there. And then also there's actually situations where somehow there's situations where she's not gonna have all 15, like she's gonna lose the stacks, right, when higher invested. I don't know how that works, but like I noticed when I was using the Mika that they gave in the shooting range, there were times where I would get to 9 stacks and then like we wouldn't get the 120 normal attacks or even the 150 normal attacks in within the 15 seconds, because mind you, they have to land on the enemy. You don't just shoot them, they actually have to hit the enemies. So there's things that could go wrong. She's mainly used for bosses, I would say she's definitely a very good character in bosses, but in general, not necessarily that good, right? Again, burst gauge filling is very good. Stack buff is really good. Like this is a character I would use when they drop characters who have like the stack count, right? For example, Nero's a character that like most healers don't work with her because they don't like constantly heal her. Essentially, with just having the 1 stack up, if you can get these stacks going off in time, you're gonna have enough thing. You can use Mika to stack it up, but the only problem is Nero's on a 5-second cooldown for her buffs, so you're not gonna get 120 normal attacks in within 5 seconds. I'm sorry, you're not. So that's just unfortunate for her. But when we get better characters like that, then she's definitely gonna, you know, probably go up to like that S tier, I would say. But overall, she's a good character. Her kit is good. The only problem with her that I've noticed is simply it takes too long for her to fully stack, and then also there isn't that many crazy characters that have like that can make use of the stackable buff, right? The only like 2 noticeable ones that I can think of off the top of my head are Modernia with her crit damage buff and Scarlet with her massive attack buff, but there's no other characters that are like major big in this game that I can think of that has a stackable like effect that makes them hit harder, right, or anything like that, right? I'm sure that, I mean, there's characters like this Snow White, right, 5 times. It does last for 5 seconds as well, so it's the same exact thing. But again, 30 normal attacks for a machine or assault rifle is like you're gonna get that off, so you don't even necessarily need her. But when it comes to like maybe Scarlet or Ernie or whoever it is, right, she's gonna be useful there. Even though they never really had a problem getting max stacks. So that's the reality, right? A lot of these characters never had a problem getting to max stacks of their like stackable buffs beforehand. So I guess Mika could help out there, but it's still not like, you know, necessary, right? But I want to say when it comes to those characters with longer buffs, like Diesel, that's a good character. This helps out Diesel a lot, right? This helps out Diesel get her stackable buffs faster, since Diesel does take some time to get her full stacks. So Mika helps out Diesel in a sense. But overall, I do think she's an A tier unit. Maybe not high A tier, maybe mid tier, mid A tier. I wouldn't say she's better than these. I mean, I could probably, right? High A tier, probably low S, or I would say definitely low A. I don't know if I would put her in the B tier. I think maybe that's a reach, but I could see her from low A all the way to low S. Anything in between there I would be okay with, but again, the community has voted A tier, so I can read some of these for you, right? But like, I don't like these answers here. Like, she's a SSS tier to me because of the design, right? There are like people who comment that, but when people vote, they actually do vote based on the rankings, right? I would say she's a high A or low S. She's very good. She has very good utility. Could fit in quite a few comms. Her stack buffs takes too long to get. Full minute without stack assist from others. Literally, right? But I still think the stack count is very good myself, personally, right? What's it called? Her damage reduction takes way too long to build up. Her stack refreshes is only good for like Diesel and Tove, the king of frauds. So I don't know what her purpose is unless we get a unit whose gimmick is to get a stack after. Yeah, so basically what I was saying, right? The stacking requirement is too much. Yeah, so I guess everybody's main problem with her is the simple fact that she takes too long to build up. But realistically, her kit is good. The problem is she just takes too long to build up. Now, that's fine. I don't care if I'm never gonna ask for a buff. I'm telling you right now, I take the character how it is, bruh. Unless it's an anniversary unit. Literally, Red Hood is the only exception. Any other character we get in the future, I'm gonna take it how it is. If they suck, they suck. If they're good, they're good. But if they're an anniversary unit and they're actually dog water, then I will only complain. But it's fine for Mika. So again, this is the community tier list, right? Again, you guys could go ahead onto the community vote and, you know, vote yourself as well. If anything does change, I doubt it will because it's a big margin. But if anything does change, then I will update it. Not make a video, but I'll just update it. But yeah, it seems like in a day from now, it's gonna be like around 10,000 votes, maybe around 9,000, 10,000 votes, and it's still gonna be in that A to B tier. So let me know if you guys agree. If you don't, let me know why you agree and why you don't agree. And I'll see you guys in the next one. I'm out. Peace.